Welcome to the Songwriter Connection podcast, where we look at the craft of songwriting through the eyes of the songwriter. Each week, we make a connection with a music maker, listen to their songs, and hear their stories. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenihan.
Hello, and thank you for listening and downloading the podcast. I'm going to make another connection today with one of the sweetest people you've ever met here in this town of Nashville. Introducing you to Andrea Goodman in just a little bit. Can I thank you first for over 20,000 streams? As of this morning, we're taping this show November the 19th for December the 15th published. We publish every Wednesday morning, early in the morning, so that when you wake up on Wednesday morning, you can listen to the latest connection. So anyway, I know that you're sharing it, and I know that you're telling folks about it because 20,000 plus streams as of this morning. Not streams, downloads. And I have you to thank. And I'm just so thrilled about that. This little show we started during pandemic, is blowing up. So way to go. Thank you. And keep on subscribing. Keep on spreading it around. Before we get to Andrea, can I thank our sponsor, Discover Sooner, and my friend, Nancy Deckett. You know, they had a nice event this week where you could pitch to the publisher, online, Zoom, no matter where you are. She brings publishers in like that. It's just one of the many services that she does on discoversooner.com. To find out more, listen to episode 2 here in season 2. Nancy was our guest. She's a songwriter and a plugger and a publisher, and she does this Discover Sooner as well. So it's a great online community. Other songwriters that you can collaborate with. There are publishers. It's a good way to make a connection and to get discovered sooner. DiscoverSooner.com. Go there when you get a chance. Certainly appreciate that. Well, she says, I'm an artist-songwriter from the bluegrass. I live in Nash Vegas, and I am blessed. And then she says, life's a garden. Dig it, y'all. Andrea Goodman, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You're one of the nicest, sweetest people here in this town, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm going to start with a song from your CD. This is your EP, right?
Yeah, that's the album I put out in 2019.
Okay, this is called The More I Twang. Oh, I love it.
Something on the rocks.
you gotta love it. That is such a clever song.
Why, thank you.
Andrea Goodman, who is our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. Nice to have you here, Andrea.
Thanks.
Who did you write that with? Tell us about that.
I wrote that with Stone Eiley. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No.
He's a very talented songwriter here in Nashville, as there are many.
Name is Stone?
Stone.
I love him already.
Stone. And
cool
then
sounds like a tough guy.
Aielli. He's from Virginia. It's so funny. I met
cool.
him at Belcourt Taps a few years ago, where I've met a lot of people. I was very inebriated after a long day, and I just got drunker and drunker. And he was standing there, and he's like, the more you drink, the more you twang. And I was like, actually, I do.
Gotta write that. Yeah.
When we were sober, we wrote it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, did you just like a shot in between, stanzas or whatever?
Honestly,
little drinking
no.
Game? No,
No, I think we may have had one shot, maybe, but that was it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So do you really? You do have a little twang. So where are you from?
So I am, as you said, from the bluegrass.
Bluegrass.
Yeah.
So Kentucky.
Central Kentucky.
Central Kentucky.
Yeah, south of Lexington, about an hour and a half.
That explains the UK T-shirt.
That's
she's
right.
Wearing. Wildcat fan.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I forgive you.
I'm so sorry. I'm not really.
I spent 25 years in Cincinnati, and so there were always enemies, Bearcats, Wildcats. Right?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, so, but anyway, I still love you.
We still love each other.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing these days. I know you keep very busy.
I do. I try to keep very busy. I moved here to do this over 7 years ago now, and I've built up a network of people to write with, and I book people. I host a show once a week, as you said. I also play several shows regionally. I do a lot of cover shows, also play on Broadway. But I host Songwriters Nights where we only play original music. So I do a little bit of all of it.
Wow.
Really.
It's crazy down there on Broadway, doesn't it?
It is.
Yes.
It can be fun. I go at the more tame time.
Do you?
Yeah. People are hungover and quiet, or they're just getting started and they're pretty quiet.
I got you. The thing, it really takes talent to do that.
It does.
You have to have a huge repertoire of songs.
It's called my cell phone.
It's called cell phone.
My duo partner refuses to buy a phone holder. He's like, I can't read that fast. And so I have my little thing that latches on to the mic stand, and I got guitar tabs, man.
And it's all kinds of music,
all
right?
Kinds.
People don't realize that we talk about Nashville, and people say, well, it's a country music town.
It's so diverse.
It is diverse.
Yeah.
This is a music town. It's music city.
Right.
For a reason. It's never always been just country. It's everything. It's both kinds of music, country and western.
Country and western.
No, it's everything. It really is. It's everything. And when you go down and you get down on Broadway, you soon find out.
You do.
Yeah. All these honky tonks, sometimes 3 levels of bands playing,
right?
Plus the rooftop bar, and at all times of the day. So it's something to see when you come and you visit Nashville. You may even see Andrea Goodman. Where do you like to play?
So, are you talking about downtown?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I play at Casa Rosa, which is Miranda Lambert's new place.
Miranda Lambert place.
Yeah.
Yes. And you love
Luke
her,
Bryan's.
don't you?
I love her just a little bit.
Yeah.
I play there and I play all of her songs, and I'm like, I've only been practicing for this gig for like 12 years now.
You can even sound like her when you sing. I've heard it. You can. Yeah.
Well, cool.
When you want to. Yeah.
Right, when I try. We play there, Luke Bryan's. Jason Aldean's is another one on the rooftop there. So
awesome, cool places.
Yeah.
And now you have a duet partner these days.
Yeah. Blake Essie. He's very talented. He's from Virginia, and he's actually out in Vegas as we speak.
Wow.
Playing at the MGM this week.
Wow.
I hope to go do that with him in February.
Wow.
Fingers crossed. They're working on
That'd
it.
be great.
Yeah.
Get out to Vegas.
Yeah.
Not just Nash Vegas, but Vegas.
Vegas.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that happens for you. I'm pulling for you. Yeah.
That's the plan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We're sitting around the dining room table, as we do on this show every week. We get amazing sound in this little dining room
it.
in Hermitage.
Yeah.
And this table's a Duncan Fife. that used to belong to my mother-in-law, Jeannie.
Aw.
And so I'm always honored when folks bring their instruments and play around the dining room table. So I'm going to invite you to do the same thing. You got a song you want to play for us?
I do, actually. I write with a very talented singer-songwriter based here out of Nashville. She tours all the way around. Erica Sunshine Lee is her name. I don't know if you've ever heard of her.
I haven't.
She's super
Get her on
talented.
the show, huh?
I know. She would do that if you can catch her in town. That's the hard part. But we've had some great male influences in our lives within our families, and we wrote this song about them, and it's called Poster Child.
Oh, wow.
He doesn't say much, watch out, 'cause when he does, it's the kind of advice you want to listen to. He's not just 9 to 5, he works to stay alive, earned the scars on his hands and paid his dues. And his corn's better than any grocery store. Come sunrise, his boots will hit the floor. He's got Jesus Saves on the back of his Chevrolet as he takes a sip of his homemade wine. It says it ain't that dang hard to live a simple life. Yeah, he's an American-made poster child. He's not one for violence, but if it came down to a riot, man, he ain't afraid to use his automatic. He'll skin a buck for his supper, he can fish like no other, and that damn tobacco is his only bad habit. Rough around the edges like the hat he wears. He'll die smiling even if he ain't a millionaire. He's got Jesus Saves on the back of his Chevrolet as he takes a sip of his homemade wine. Says it ain't that dang hard to live a simple life. Yeah, he's an American-made poster child. A Vietnam veteran, you better believe it, man. He's proud of his heritage, still loves the wife that married him. He's got Jesus Saves on the back of his Chevrolet as he takes a sip of his homemade wine. It says it ain't that damn hard to live a simple life. Yeah, he's an American-made poster child.
Well, I love it. Andrea Goodman on the Songwriter Connection podcast. It's country music.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah.
You grew up on that stuff?
Oh, yes. Bob Kingsley's Country Countdown. Every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
That's right.
Yeah, me too. Now, did you, what's your earliest memory of a country song? Do you have one?
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, I think of those Sundays literally riding around in a pickup after church listening to that countdown. I remember being in love with Randy Travis when I was little.
Yeah.
I said I was going to marry him.
Yeah.
I did. It was so funny as a 5-year-old. God bless it.
You know, I just thought of this story about Marty Stewart, the Hall of Famer. When he was a kid, he was in love with Connie Smith and went to see her, got her autograph, got a picture as a kid, you know. Tells his mom on the way home, I'm going to marry her someday. And then he did.
It's his sweetheart. I love it.
That is such a cool story.
It is.
It really is.
I didn't marry Randy, but I married somebody his age that has a love for country music.
And Marty is a great guy.
He is.
He really is. His dad was a big songwriter.
That's right. Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about that? Or?
Absolutely. Yeah. LaVon, he was around in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. He had so many stories to tell. I mean, he sat around a pool and done a guitar pull with Larry Gatlin and people like that. And Marty remembers sitting on Loretta Lynn's knee when he was like 8 years old.
Wow.
Like, yeah, just insane stuff. But you could just walk up into studios and like offices back then, and it wasn't quite the same as it is now. Not saying that now is bad. It was just a different world.
It was a different world.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. He got an offer one time to get a radio single release on Merle Haggard, one of his songs. They just asked him to give up half of his writing.
Yeah, it happens.
And he said no.
No.
Yeah, but he had a lot of cool stories like that.
I've heard so many of those stories. The most famous was Dolly Parton.
Oh, yeah.
Elvis Presley wanted to do I'll Always Love You.
Oh,
and
right.
all your publishing, and she's like, I don't think so.
Probably not.
She's made enough money on I Will Always Love You to be able to buy Graceland, you know.
Yeah.
So, so I'm not sure she had any regrets.
After The Bodyguard especially, I would say no.
And Gabby Barrett is just putting it out on a new album.
Really?
Yeah,
cool.
So maybe it'll be a hit again. You never know.
Yeah, you just never know.
Yeah. So when did you learn how to play? Is guitar your first instrument?
It is the only up until now. I played trumpet in high school marching band.
Okay.
I probably still wouldn't know how to do that.
So you had a musical training and background?
A little bit, yeah. I honestly didn't start playing guitar until, I don't know, about 11 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of
Okay.
wild. I was living
do
in
very
Bowling
well.
Green.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you do.
Well, I appreciate it.
You must have picked it up kind of quick then.
No. Not really. I had a great teacher, and I was teaching school at that time, and so I got busy, and I had to quit my lessons after about a year. But I just kept working at it on my own.
So you're a teacher.
Yeah.
What'd you teach?
I taught third grade the first year and second
elementary.
grade the second. Yeah, I was certified elementary, and then taught middle school for a little bit through a different kind of program. But yeah.
That is really cool. Yeah. My wife Patty, English teacher.
I know. That is so cool.
We have so much in common.
Right? Well, I think she's pretty cool, so maybe I'm kind of cool too.
I think she's pretty cool
Yeah.
too. So when did you decide that you want to start writing? Or was it early, or once you had the guitar, or did you write even before you could play yet?
It was around the time I started learning how to play guitar. Ironically, I wrote a little bit before I took that middle school job, but I had an hour to drive back and forth each day. For that, a lot of time to think. And then I also, like, once I got all my work done at school, I would have my planning. It wasn't a certified position, so I didn't spend as much intense time planning and doing things of that manner. And so I'd have time to sit there and collect thoughts, and I have all of these sheets of graph paper with Sharpie writing on it because that's what I could get my hands on at school. And then I would get thoughts coming to and from school each day. And back then I couldn't play that well. And so it was just a bunch of poems and stuff.
So things to draw on, later on.
Yeah.
And all great songwriters keep a book
Absolutely.
like that with ideas and lines that they want to use in songs. And
Right.
I know you do too. Still to this day, that's something that never changes.
No.
And so the process is pretty interesting. So for you, just take us through it. Like maybe this next song you're going to play, take us through the process and how it came about and how it works. We're getting inside the mind of Andrea Goodman.
That's kind of scary. I don't know if I'd recommend it. You need some pretty good seatbelts for that. I don't know.
I kid.
I joke. It's all kinds of different ways for me. I write with, as you do, a lot of different kinds of people. You have different personalities, different methods. I tend to be more of a lyrically driven person. Sometimes I come up with a melody. A lot of times I depend on somebody else for that because some people are just better at it.
Yeah, that's true.
I tend to come with the ideas and the lyrics and some of the structure, what have you. But the song that I'm going to play for you next, I wrote by myself.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Solo write.
One of the few ones.
That still happens today.
It's every now and then, it ain't a lot. One 4th of July, I was playing Belcourt Taps, and I haven't worn lipstick in a while. And I was just feeling it. And so I stopped by that CVS on 21st. Around where Vandy is, around in there. And I said, whatever jumps out at me, I'm going to buy and I'm going to wear. And I saw something that said Alabama Red. And I was like, well, that's intriguing.
Roll Tide.
I've always
a
like, and
UK fan
I know.
is rolling tide here.
But now how cute would it be for me to wear blue lipstick?
You never noted.
That doesn't look real cute, I wouldn't think. I would not be down with it.
Only if you had the blue hair to match.
And that's not happening, so. Okay. I have nothing wrong with it if somebody else wants to do it, but it don't work on me. So
Alabama red lipstick.
Red, yeah. And then a few months later, I'm driving along Hillsboro, like going back to where I was living at that moment in time, and I got this idea in my head about lipstick, but I made it a little more interesting. It's not just about a tube of lipstick. It's what all comes with that.
Ah, okay. So there's more.
So, yeah, there's more. It sounds really simple, but then it gets a little more complicated. So I rushed home and got to my guitar as soon as I could and sat down on my bedroom floor, and it just started flying out. Now, as you know, that doesn't always happen.
It doesn't, no.
When it does, it's really cool.
It is cool. You got to get it out.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a rare circumstance with this song.
As rare as Alabama red lipstick?
Maybe.
Let's give it a listen. This is Andrea Goodman. This is the Songwriter Connection podcast.
That Alabama red was $8.99. I wore it to catch your eye tonight. I'm not much of a makeup girl, but you're changing up my whole world. That look of yours is nervous, but your lips look so soft. It's time for you to lean on in and take my lipstick off. Take my lipstick off. You want me and you know it, so it's time for you to show it. I can take this shade off later, or you can do me the favor right now. The look of yours is nervous, but your lips look so soft. It's time for you to lean on in and take my lipstick off. And take my lipstick off. That Alabama red was $8.99. I wore it to catch your eye tonight.
Wow. Alabama red. Lipstick is the song.
Yeah.
And our artist-songwriter today, our connection this week is Andrea Goodman. Andrea, that's a cool one, man. And a solo write, too. That's neat.
It was, yeah.
That's neat. I didn't expect that. You were waiting.
Ta-da.
Yeah. Waiting for him to take that lipstick off.
Right?
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool.
Thank you.
You've got a beautiful sounding guitar. It's a Martin. I love the Martin family of guitars, but that one's got a little story, doesn't it?
This is Miss Loretta.
It's called Miss Loretta?
It is.
I love that.
Thanks.
I did not know that.
I would love to meet Loretta. I have tried. And I actually have like an inside to her, but they didn't come through. And I'm not salty at all.
I got to meet her once, and she's the queen that you think she is. She's
yeah,
amazing.
I guarantee
Royalty.
it.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah. Being
You
from
will.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope.
Yeah.
Let's hope. But that's what I named her. And for those listening, one of the reasons I did, it's got a brown finish. And so, you know, she's always been a brunette. But I think of what I revere and who I revere. And I was like, I'm going to call her Miss Loretta. It's not Loretta, it's Miss Loretta.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So my dad, I guess it was about 5 years ago now, he asked me what kind of guitar I would have if I could have any kind, any brand out there. And I was like, well, I'd love to have a Martin. And he was like, okay. So then he keeps sporadically asking me questions about guitars and Martins. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? If you know my family, there is no musical talent whatsoever.
Surprising.
Surprising.
Yeah.
I am proof in miracles, apparently.
Well, it's God-given talent.
It is. He blessed me. But, so he knows nothing about instruments or anything of the like. He knows that, like, the songs that he likes and what he likes to listen to. Outside of that, that's it. He can play a radio. So, but he kept asking, and I'm like, you're being so weird. And we have a funny relationship. Well, anyway, Christmas comes around and no guitar. And I was like, well, then why has he been asking me about this? Wow. And so he told me totally off guard because I was at my parents' house that January. Mm-hmm. And he said, there's a guitar case in the kitchen floor. Why don't you go see what's in it? And I had a string of not so great luck before then. And I was like, what's it going to do? Explode? And he's like, just open it. And I did. And I started blubbering.
Oh, I bet.
This guitar was inside. He had saved up. Yeah. And bought it.
He had saved up all that time.
He had. And the guy that he works with was kind of an expert in guitars and a musician himself. So he helped him pick it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
He picked you a good one. There's a lot of songs in that guitar.
I know.
Sometimes you can just pick up a guitar. No.
I know.
Oh, man. I love this.
She's
sounds
special.
Great. There's lots of good songs in this car, and good songs to come.
Right.
You know, I just flashed back to one of my fondest. This is the Christmas season, so I'd share this story with you. Probably one of the best Christmases ever. I could remember I was 11 years old. My brother was not quite 3 years younger than me, Rusty. And we had our Christmas tree downstairs and the kitchen, and the dining room was upstairs. And so we're down there playing with our toys that we got for Christmas, right? And my mom and dad called us up for breakfast. And of course, you don't want to go, right? We want to play.
Right.
You guys coming up for breakfast? Come on for breakfast. So we come on up, and in the chairs where we normally sit for breakfast were guitars. Two. One for him, one for me.
What?
Yeah. And we're like, oh my God.
Aww.
And it was the greatest Christmas gift ever.
That
and
is.
They started getting us lessons. Although, really my brother didn't need to. My brother Russ is one of those guys that he could hear a song on the radio and just play it. And he was figuring out songs. At the time, I remember Glenn Campbell was really big, Gentle in My Mind. And he's playing that before we even, and he's showing me how to do it. And I'm like, how do you, yeah. So he was always the one to go, hey, Russ, I love this song. How do you play it? He'd listen to it and he'd go, yes, I play it. Just like it.
Yeah, that's
amazing
wild.
talent on the guitar. So he was always one, Andrea, where he would figure out how to play it. He could hear it and play it. And me, I'd sit down and I'd want to create new things. Right. Things I hadn't heard before. Mm-hmm. Was it like that with you when you first picked it up?
It wasn't initially, but it came around to that. Mm-hmm. I remember the first song I ever figured out how to actually totally put together and replicate it was Hell on Heels by the Pistol Annies.
Pistol Annies.
Because that was just released around the time I started learning how to play.
Miranda and them.
Yeah. It's really cool because I saw Ashley Monroe at a show up in Kentucky.
Love her.
I know.
Yeah.
She was standing in line for the restroom and I needed to go myself. And everybody had bothered her for pictures and autographs and all that.
She's so beautiful.
I know, and awesome. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm not going to do that because, technically, with what we're trying to do, we need to consider ourselves as peers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not be crazy fans. You can kind of be a fan.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I'm like,
I'm just going to go up and tell her how much I appreciate her and tell her the story. And so I told her that I opened up every show with that song.
Wow.
And that was the first one I learned how to play on guitar.
Wow.
And I think she appreciated it.
I bet you she did.
Yeah. She was really sweet.
I hear she's having some health issues these days, and we pray that she's doing better.
Absolutely.
When I hear it's not life-threatening, but it's a bummer.
Right. Yeah.
Something you got to live with. So, anyway, she's just amazing. I think, and just so beautiful. She really is.
Absolutely.
I saw her at the Ryman one time with Vince Gill. And she blew me away. Wow. Yeah. It's a really good show.
The two of them together.
Oh, yeah. Amazing. Amazing together.
Wow.
Amazing together. So, do you think Miss Loretta and you could fix us up with another song?
I think so. Let's see. What do I want to do? Oh, well, I could do Bourbon Breakdown.
Oh, well, yeah. And tell us about this song. So
this is actually fun. You know who Gerald Smith
Gerald Smith.
The Georgia
yes, I do.
Quacker.
Tell him about the Georgia Quacker. Yep.
So the Georgia Quacker, it's really cool because he was on Hee Haw once upon a time.
Yeah, he was.
And
Georgia Quacker.
He was the voice behind that duck.
Yeah, he was.
He told me stories about sleeping in a tent in the rain to get to do that. And I think they paid him like $600 or something back then. It was something random.
But what people don't know about him, he is a great songwriter.
He's an amazing songwriter.
He's had so many hits.
He wrote What Part of No for Lori Morgan.
Wow. That's
yeah.
good.
And songs such as that, just a precious soul. And then John Fountain is a guy that was writing with him a lot at that time. And he's amazing also. Great guy. Good friend of mine. He has written #1 hits for Marty Raybon in the bluegrass realm.
Wow.
Yeah. So really talented gentleman.
Yeah.
And so I had never written with them. John found me at Winners one Friday night when I first got here and heard me singing along to the karaoke. And he's like, I need you to fix this demo that we've got. And so I went in and I did it, and Gerald heard me and he's like, well, she's not awful. He's so funny. But he said, if you'll do the vocals on this, I'll promise to write at least one song with you. And we went on to write several.
Wow.
But we wrote the first one. Gerald said, what kind of ideas do you got? And I was like, well, I'm from Kentucky, and I had this idea about instead of having a nervous breakdown, why not have a bourbon breakdown? And he was like, all right.
Good idea.
So we went and wrote it.
And this has done so well for you. That's what you call your night out now.
It is.
Alley Taps the Bourbon Breakdown.
Yeah.
That was cool.
And we have a bourbon sponsor now.
You do?
This is recent. Cooper's. Out of Kentucky, yeah.
Well, I haven't tried that. I'm going to have to.
Yeah.
At the very next Bourbon Breakdown.
That's right. Yeah.
Alley Taps if you're ever in town on Mondays.
That's
you do it
right.
every Monday?
Dude, every Monday, 6 to
10.
10.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Find it when you come to town.
All original music.
Yes, that's right.
That's right.
Got to here in Nashville. The Bourbon Breakdown with Andrea Goodman, who's our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast.
I'm heading for a bourbon breakdown. It's Friday night. It's been coming since Monday morning. Now it's party time. Jim Beam and old Evans waiting beneath the neon light. I'm heading for a bourbon breakdown. It's Friday night. It all started on Monday morning. I couldn't find my keys. Then on Tuesday, I spilled coffee all over me. On Wednesday, I barely cleared the hump. Thursday, got on my last nerve. The day I took off at lunch. I'm heading for a bourbon breakdown. It's Friday night. It's been coming since Monday morning. Now it's party time. Old Woodford and Cooper's waiting beneath the neon light. I'm heading for a bourbon breakdown. It's Friday night. Now let me tell you, this old tavern has been a friend of mine. It helps take the edge off and clear my mind. I try not to make a habit out of too much fun. But every now and then a girl needs to have her some fun. I'm heading for a bourbon breakdown. It's Friday night. It's been coming since Monday morning. And now it's party time. Old Woodford and Cooper's way beneath the neon light. I'm heading for a bourbon breakdown. It's Friday night. I'm heading for a bourbon breakdown. It's Friday night.
And we're taping this on a Friday, so
we are.
And my mouth is watering for a little bourbon.
I know, right?
Thank you, Andrea Goodman.
Thank you.
The Bourbon Breakdown with the Georgia Quacker. Huh?
Right.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Was it a learning experience too, writing with him? Because he's written so many big hits.
Oh, I know. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you take from it? Was there any particular things that you really learned that stuck in your head?
Yeah, I would have to say I was very intimidated going in. You know, you've got the history and you have the resume built up and you're like, what have I done? But I don't know. I think I got a lot of good ideas from him, ways to go about things. But I also learned about myself, don't be as intimidated. You know what I mean? Like, realize that you have good ideas also. If you feel strongly about an idea, you know, stick to it. Because, you know, some people, they get really excited and they're like, well, mine's better. And so just letting the song win, I guess. That's a big thing.
Yeah, that is really good advice.
Yeah, it really is.
If you're a songwriter out there trying to learn something, that's something to take with you.
It is, for sure. It's important. Yeah. It's always about the song. Everything else will fall into place.
Yeah. It's all about the song, right?
It is.
It's NSAI.
Right.
Are you ever a member of the Nashville Songwriters
I am, actually.
Are you, right now? Are you?
Yeah.
Currently?
Yeah, I am.
Wonderful. Good.
Yeah.
Great organization to get involved with.
It is.
And I always tell folks that's a nice place to start if you're thinking about being a songwriter.
It really is, yeah. Huge network of folks.
Good. Did they have a chapter where you grew up? No.
No.
You just found it here?
Yeah, just since Nashville. I'm not aware of anything in Kentucky.
Okay.
I know they have different places in different regions.
You know, we did in Cincinnati, a very good and active group in Cincy.
Good.
For a while, I was the coordinator for the Cincinnati part. It's Cincinnati and Dayton together. So, yeah, it's a big group.
I play in Cheyenne, Wyoming once a year, and they have one out there.
Yes. You know, I was going to ask you about that because you did that not too very long ago.
Yeah.
And that's a great, it's a festival? What is it out there?
It's honestly like a CMA fest.
It is?
Because you have one of the biggest rodeo events all year long.
Yeah.
And then you have all of the music, like the concerts on top of it. And so it's amazing because you bring in all the rodeo folks, all the cowboys, and then you've got all the people that love like the big names and want to come see them.
Right.
So it's very interesting.
Cool.
There's a lot of history behind it. It's been going... Man, I don't think it's 150 years at this point. I think it's like 125.
Wow.
I think this last year was 125.
Good long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know my friends Chancey Williams and the younger brothers play out there a lot. Yeah.
I do remember you saying that. We saw them at the Outlaw when we were out there. Yeah.
Did they do my song?
I don't remember.
They recorded, that was one of my first cuts. That was, they recorded Baby I'm Gone. Yeah.
I heard you playing that when I met you.
Yeah.
When we were in that round together.
I always kind of end things on that song.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm gone. You know?
That's awesome.
So, yeah. Very cool. So you must have loved that. Must have been a good time.
Oh, yeah.
You do that every year, huh?
Every year.
Yeah. And there have been a lot of songwriters out then, huh?
Well, honestly, there's not a ton of us. I mean, you've got the big acts that come in, and then you have the regional acts that are going up the ladder, like Chancey and them, and you've got people like Ned Ledoux, Chris's son.
Wow.
But the only person, as far as like my level of things, was my friend Erica. And she ended up out there, and she played on the grounds after me one day. Erica Sunshine Lee.
Sunshine Lee, okay.
And then she had some shows around town, and I showed up that Friday night, and we did some stuff together because we've written quite a bit together. But
nice. Wonderful. Yeah. Wow. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, I know we got to wrap things up, and I know you're very busy, but I was just, again, I'd like to talk another song out of you and Miss Loretta, the wonderful Martin guitar over there.
Loretta.
I like to name all my guitars, too. I think it's so cool that you named her Loretta, Miss Loretta.
She's a good one.
She is. Sounds great.
Thank you. This next one was with Gerald and John also. I had 2 songs of ours that I cut on my album that I put out that's online. And I was an Uber and Lyft driver back in the day. Not one of my favorite jobs, by the way. No. Wasn't great.
No, wasn't great.
I love the fact that it exists to get around responsibly and
That's
such.
Right. When you're having your bourbon breakdown.
Exactly. Yeah. And you don't need to drive. But I got this idea driving around one day because, you know, I am from the South and a more laid back kind of place, and there's so many different drivers here from so many different places.
like NASCAR.
Some are like NASCAR, and some act like they just walked out of a retirement home, and then you mix it all together, and it's interesting.
I like to tell folks down here, worst drivers. I mean, and the reason is
horrible.
The horn works, but the turn signals don't. Apparently.
It does not. No.
You found that out? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people know how to use brakes and not accelerate, and some vice versa. And we have the little spider web that goes around town, so that's a little that makes it fun too.
That makes it really fun.
I think they got together and thought about how they could make it super interesting. And they succeeded. But anyway, I got to thinking driving one day, and I had somebody from Boston in my car randomly, and they're like, "Why are you
from
so
Boston?"
Nice? Yeah,
was it? Yeah.
They're like, "Why are you so nice to the other drivers?" And I was like, "I don't know. I guess it's just the small town in me."
And I bet you they were laughing like crazy because if you think Nashville traffic is bad, have you ever driven in Boston?
No.
Oh.
I'm good.
Oh, let me tell you.
If I go, I'll have somebody else drive. It's fine. I'm totally fine with that. I'll hand the keys over.
Oh,
but I said, I guess it's just a small town in me. And I was like, I think that's
There's
a song.
Uh-oh. Ding, 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 ding. Here we go.
I've been here going on 2 years. Now and then this city life gets to me. We're now at home, cousin Bob and Uncle Joe are sitting at the feed the sea, playing dominoes. I love it here, but in my heart I still hold dear the small town of me. Big old dreams, I've arrived just out of reach, but in my sights while back at home, Dad just punched out at the factory. Rush hour traffic everywhere, horn just honk, but I don't care as I reminisce on days gone by and destiny, a small town of me. Folks round here different than the world back there in that little sleepy town where I grew up. It's been said that I'm naive. It's a fact that I know me. It's more than I can say about some of the folks around here. They say it don't fit in, but that's because they ain't lived in the small town of me. Big old dreams, I've arrived just out of reach, but in my sights while back at home, Dad just punched down at the factory. Rush hour traffic everywhere, horn just honk, but I don't care as I reminisce on days gone by and destiny, the small town of me, the small town of me, the small town of me.
Wow, lots of great imagery in that song, Andrea Goodman.
you.
Yeah. What was the small town you grew up in?
Liberty, Kentucky.
Liberty.
That's right.
Right in the middle of the state. You're saying.
Right smack, well, kind of middle.
Kinda
It's directly in between Lexington and the Tennessee state line.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Do you get back much?
Yeah, I do some. My mom, she got remarried, and she's outside of Campbellsville, Kentucky. So I get back there more.
Yeah.
Not quite as much. I get up to my in-laws' farm quite a bit, which is outside of Cave City.
Okay.
Kind of close to Glasgow, Cave City area off 65.
Not too far off the Bourbon Trail, huh?
It's not. It's not. I
go.
grew up a half an hour from Maker's Mark.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's always one of my favorite bourbons.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. Well, Andrea, I want to thank you for being with us on this show. Your music is out there on Spotify, anywhere you get music. Also, you've got a webpage?
I do. AndreaGoodman.rocks. ROCKS.
That's cool.
Thanks. Well, AndreaGoodman.com wasn't available. So.
.rocks, I think, is even
It's
better.
cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
So easy to find.
Yeah.
Thank you. You really are one of the
you,
sweetest
Dave.
people here in this town.
Same. Likewise.
It's just a pleasure to know you.
Same. Yeah.
Thanks for being on the show. You know what?
you.
Next week we have Efren White. Efren is such a
love
cool
him.
guy in town. And I'm looking forward to introducing to you, making a new connection here on the Nashville Connection. Catch you next week, okay?
Thank you for listening to the Songwriter Connection podcast. Find us on social media at Songwriter Connection. Also, listen to Dave Lanahan's Nashville Connections radio show. It streams live every Friday morning on WOBL and WNOI. Look for us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time on Songwriter Connection.